Yo, what's up, guys? Venruki here. I am pleased to bring you another sort of CDL recap video where I go over my duels. Now, if you guys watched the last video, you know I didn't necessarily have the best week. But the way the CDL worked, basically you had 2 different days where you would duel 7 people in your group, so you could earn a total of 14 points each week, and then the points you earned would be added up, and that would be your total score to advance onto the main round. The first week I played wasn't my week. I would say I played well, but unfortunately just some RNG didn't go my way. My opponents played well, and it didn't work out. So I was obviously really disappointed. I was in last place for Mage. My total score was 6 and 8, and I was basically going to have to pull off a complete miracle if I wanted to have any chance of qualifying. I'm pleased to announce I managed to do it. I don't know how, but I put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of preparation, and I managed to go 13 and 1 in my group. The only duel I lost, actually more than that, I went 15 and 1 because I ended up doing mirror matches against Sagu as well. So out of dueling everyone in my group, the only person that I lost to was Yab's one duel. It was just a little RNG, a little good play, and we managed to do it. So I'm pleased to announce that I actually qualified to the main season in the CDL. And without further ado, let's kind of jump into these duels. Now, there's a couple different strategies you can go with against Warlocks. This strategy kind of relies on just surviving. Now, I inspected him before the duel starts, and I saw that he was going to use a cloaking device. Now, that's a complete disaster. A move that a lot of Warlocks do is they'll use a cloaking device and spell lock you, and that way you can't get them out. They can create distance, and if they get away and get at range, it becomes really difficult to catch up. But seeing that, I just immediately naded him, and I was able to get on top of him and start dealing out as much damage as I could, which is what you can see here. Decursing myself, spamming Arcane Explosion, Cone of Cold, Fire Blast, using my reflectors. He actually faked out my Fire Reflector, which was good. Now I have my Shadow Reflector. Now, something really important that happens in this duel, and something I like to do against Warlocks, is really wait for my Shadow Reflector, and you're going to see why soon. In this particular spot, it's actually not going very well for me. He's used his medicine pouch. He's basically full health. He's been resisting a ton of my spells, and I am completely tapped on mana. Luckily for me, I have a mana gem. I pop that, and this is the defining moment in the duel, okay? What happens here is what wins me the duel. So, he's going for a fear. I'm almost completely tapped on mana. His mana's not doing great, so he's going to have to start life tapping, and this is where it can snowball in my favor. But I actually managed to get a Shadow Reflect on his fear and cast an Evocation. Now, you can see here he used a spell lock. He actually spell locked into my Shadow Reflector, and Shadow Reflector is really good against Orc Warlocks because if they get feared, they can't really get out of it. And not only that, but they can't spell lock you. So I get a full Evocation, which brings me back in this duel. And from this point forward, he doesn't have a ton of mana. I'm able to just channel Frostbolts because he used his spell lock into my Shadow Reflector. And although I feel like Yabs played pretty well and he had good RNG, it's just that Reflect Evocate that kept me in the duel. And I'm super happy with it because if I had lost this duel, it would have been a nightmare. Unfortunately for Yabs, he had to actually beat me in that duel to qualify. So his first duel of the day, he was eliminated from the tournament, which is unfortunate for him, but yeah, obviously good for me. Now, my next series was against Reverie. Now, going into this series, I was really, really worried because 2-0ing a Restoration Druid, especially one as good as Reverie, is an absolute nightmare. So I had Soda Poppin in my group as well as Reverie. Soda Poppin 2-0'd me really close duels. Because of how close my duels were with Soda Poppin, I knew if I just made some adjustments, I could take Reverie down. I had done, before I got a lot of gear, I'd done a lot of duels against Reverie, and I think I literally lost every one. So it was scary, but I just kind of kept my cool. My main game plan when playing against a Druid is just try to play really, really efficient. You can burst them down. So right here, you can see I go for a big wombo combo. I go for the Mortar, and then out of the Mortar, I go for a Nade. And if that didn't resist, I would have Frostbolted, Fire Blasted, MCS'd, and tried to just end the duel immediately. And if I got crits, I would have just won, but he resisted my nade. Unfortunately, I was going for a Mortar, nade, improved counterspell combo. It failed, so I just decided, you know what? I need to keep myself alive. And you can see kind of by my trinkets and the items that I use. So things like the Whipper Root Tuber, I realized as I got more gear, keeping yourself alive is more valuable than keeping your mana up. As long as you're playing efficient with Frostbolt, you can actually out mana Restoration Druid. At this point, he actually makes a little bit of a mistake by allowing me to bandage. I think me resetting my health is more important than him resetting his health. But he's probably feeling pretty confident in this position. I still have, my Cold Snap, just trying to Ice Barrier as much as I can to absorb a lot of this damage, just interrupt him. So I'm getting that damage rolling and he's not able to Wrath me, because Wrath is really scary. If he's getting Wraths off when I don't have Ice Barrier, that's when things get dicey really, really quick. But I just kind of continue my pursuit. I use my Arena Grandmaster to soak up a little bit of damage. And it's at this point he has to innervate. So he uses his innervate. He's going to be recovering some mana, and I still have, my Ice Bearer coming up. I have Cold Snap for another Ice Bearer. I still have my Whipper Root Tuber. A lot of cooldowns to work with. I decided to just reset my mana with my Ice Bearer. He didn't have a nade to shut it down, and I was able to recover a ton of my mana. I Whipper Root Tuber, I Cold Snap, I Ice Barrier, just trying to protect my hit points, trying to just be as efficient as possible. At this point, he's kind of panicking. He realizes, like, oh shit, I don't have that much mana. I need to start playing a little bit more efficient. So he's going for the healing touches. He's trying to fake out my counter spell. I lock him, and I just have enough hit points. I have enough mana where I can sort of seal the deal. And I was super happy with the way I played this. I had a good strategy going in, and it ended up working out. And then I got my first win. Now my second duel. The problem is I don't have the same amount of ice blocks and the same amount of sort of ability to live. However, he does not have his ice reflector, and not only that, but he doesn't have his innervate. So he's gonna go out of meta really, really quickly. I just need to hold on. So I decide my strategy is going to be kind of overwhelm him with a zoo. So I put on my Arcanite Dragonling, I put on my Mechanical Chicken, and my Medicine Pouch, just to try to survive as long as I can. I get the nade, he actually AGMs, and I immediately shred through it with a Cone of Cold crit. Both my pets are out, and I kind of realize at this time he's falling a little bit behind. It's time for me to go, and if he doesn't have the time to kill my pets, that's going to be an opportunity for me to really just keep pushing forward. And he doesn't even bother really trying to kill my pets. Like, he doesn't Moonfire them, and I think this is the big misplay that he did, is if he had naded my pets, if he had Moonfired my pets, I actually think he probably would have won this duel, but he let my pets up the entire duration. I got an insane amount of value from them both. You can see they're still just attacking him, giving him pushback, annoying him, and because of that, I'm able to push through. Now, I don't know if you guys saw that, but I actually dipped down to 200 health, and sometimes against druids, I like to give them sort of a false sense of confidence. So I like to hold on to things like Medicine Pouch, Arena Grandmaster, and my Whipper Root Tuber, because sometimes they'll get careless with their mana and start being inefficient and spamming out Moonfires, and that's exactly what happened. He saw I was getting low, he was spamming out the Moonfires, and then boom, Whipper Root Tuber. He's got no mana left, and I still got my pets, just taking him down, and it was a rank 1 Arcane Explosion that closed out that duel. So obviously a really good start for me. I managed to not only take down the Druid in my group twice, but I also beat the Warlock once, so it's like best you could hope for. All right, so now we're going up against the Hunter in the group, and my strategy against him, I didn't have a lot of practice against BM, was just to rush him down. I just wanted to get on top of him as fast as I could, do as much damage. Luckily for me, net backfired at the beginning and brought me right to him, which is essentially a perfect opener. I get to be on top of him, which is really unfortunate for him. For me, I'm super happy. I end up using my Barov's Peasant Collar just to get out as much damage as I can. And at this point, I'm just fully committed to staying on top of him, spamming out my instant damage, and just sort of rushing him down, because if he ever gets away, that's when things get really, really dicey. So it's a really, really quick first duel for me. Second duel, I actually go for an immediate Mortar, and I land it. I get the Mortar, I get the Polymorph. Now, from this position, he can't really empower his pet. Channeling a Frostbolt, I think it actually crits. Puts me in a decent spot, get him down to around 85% into a nade, and basically it's a rinse repeat. I want to stay in his dead zone. I don't want him to Viper me, and I am confident that if I stay on top of him, I'm going to do more damage than he does to me. He goes for the Death Ray, I block it, and from this point forward, it's just spamming out instants, trying to avoid damage, and yeah, it was a fairly, straightforward victory for me. That's kind of how it is against hunters. If you can stay on top of them, you can stay in their dead zone, you can spam out instants, it's going to be really, really good. Now, next duel is against Trickster. I needed as many wins as I could. At this point, I was 5-1 on the day, feeling really good. Trickster was the next person. I was like, man, this guy is really good. This guy finished first for Shadow Priests. I had a couple different plans in store, and the plan I went with wasn't the one I originally wanted to, but at the last second I decided, you know what, I'm going to try something a little different. I'm just going to go for the zoo all in. So I used the Dragonling, I used the Chicken, and my main focus in this duel, what I like to do is interrupt the priest on Shadow and then summon your zoo, so he can't immediately Shadow or Pain them, and he kind of falls behind a little bit. So if you get your pets out right after you lock him out, that's 10 seconds of your pet not only attacking him, but him falling behind and not able to kill your pet. So it's really, really good. I have to see how it plays out exactly. I'm not sure if I did lock him out, but they go for a big opener. Managed to get some damage rolling. Missed my nade, which is unfortunate, but these things happen. He reflects my Frostbolt, I Frostward it, I lock him out, and this is what I mean. Okay, so I locked him out, exactly what I wanted to do. And this is the point in the duel where he's falling further and further behind. He's not able to get up Shadow or Pain on the pets, and I can basically just spam out Frostbolts. He's taking all the pushback from the pets, and this is a really good position for me to be in. I'm super happy. Him running away with both my pets on him, me able to just ice block, his dots, his mind blast. I go for a bandage stick to try to recover as much hit points as I can, because Shadow or Pain doesn't take out immediately, and you can see he's completely He ended up dispelling himself way too much, and because of that, I earned a victory for the first game. And I mean, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. I think locking the Shadow Priest out and then going for the Zoo strat is good. Second duel, I don't have as many pets, so this is my second strategy against Shadow Priest. I actually try to I try to get them out of mana almost. So what I like to do is use my Shadow Reflector, my AGM, to just avoid as much damage as possible. Really bad start for me. He gets a blackout on his Fear, so I'm completely clean. I don't get a good opener. I get blacked out again, but locking him out, if I had naded him there, it would have been big, big, big damage. But unfortunately, it resisted, and I wasn't able to get quite as much. But, the nades against the priest can sometimes be unreliable. He goes for the mortar, but I still have a lot I can work with here. Like, I have my cold snap, which I throw out. I have 2 barriers, so if he does go for that big damage, I can use it. I decided to just go for the Shadow Reflector. I don't want to get silenced. And if I'm able to get that, then I can start doing some damage. He goes for the first aid, trying to recover. And at that point, I just decide to block. I improve counterspell him to get a few bandage sticks. He silences. That's a complete disaster that I resist that there. So that resist kind of carried the duel for me. Unfortunate for him. Really good for me. I have my AGM up, and I'm able to close out the duel. So I didn't even realize I would resist that silence. If that silence went off, could have lost the duel, but such is classic WoW, right? He resisted my nade, I resisted his silence. Which one's more valuable? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of the reasons why classic WoW can be a little bit goofy sometimes. But, I really think consistency will pay off in the long run. This duel went my way. Luckily for me, I was able to get a 2-0, which is big. At this point, 1-1 against a Warlock, which is the best you could ever hope for. 2-0ing a Warlock, an SL Warlock, is essentially impossible as a mage. I really think that. Beating Reverie twice, beating Trickster twice, beating, Stream Snipe twice. At this point, I feel in the momentum. I'm like, wow, maybe I can actually do it. I've got Titan Frost left and Enhancement Shaman. I've got Sony Digital, who's a really good warrior, and I've got Vec. So we're going to keep going through these duels. Titan Frost. Now, this was not an ideal opener for me. So I don't know if you guys saw, I went for a rank 1 Frostbolt. He grounded it. He's marching towards me. He managed to get a mortar on me, and I blink. And at that point, I'm not feeling very confident. So if he gets to me and he resists my Nova, I could just die instantly. Literally instantaneously to, Hand of Reg, Enhancement Shaman. It could happen. So I just decided to play it safe. I just blink out of there immediately, improve counterspell, sheep him, because with the improved counterspell, he can't shear me, he can't ground, and I can get sort of the reset I want, which is the position I want to be in. Ideally, I want to get this full reset. I want to have him at range, and I want to be able to just put out as much damage as I possibly can, which is in fact what happens. I'm able to just play my game, which is play the range game, bait out the grounding totems, and essentially what I want is I want to find myself in a position where I'm getting frostbites, I get big nades, I can lock him out, and that's when I can kind of go all in. But I realized, man, I've been doing a lot of damage. Let's just go for it. So Nova him, cone him, I have counterspell up. I just decided to throw out the blanket, all my pets, and I built a little bit of momentum, and he wasn't prepared for the rushdown, and I was able to pull it off. So this next duel, I decided to go with the net, as well as, this is another scary situation. He actually gets on me again. So I'm not actually sure what's going on here with this battle chicken. I think the battle chicken actually persisted and stayed up for this duel, which is a little bit feeky. It actually broke my sheep, which is unfortunate for me. But yeah, a little weird. I didn't even realize that happened, but yeah. Anyways, I get at range. Same thing. I'm just fishing for frostbites. I'm looking to get him a little bit low just by poking him a little bit. I get the frostbolt. I was like, wow, that's a lot of damage. All right, well, he's counterspelled. Time to end the duel, and I just throw in everything. It's a frostbolt, my bag of tricks with the 6 demon bag, and a cone of cold, and it's an easy, quick 2-0. I mean, Titan Frost, he's a great player, but you know, I just had the damage go my way. Now, this is an interesting duel. So Sony Digital and I, to give you guys a little story, have dueled quite a bit over the years. I literally dueled him back in vanilla, and it was super fun. We've been really competitive with each other. We've been friends with each other, and I knew he was going to give me a run for my money. I wanted to try to catch him off guard somehow because we had done some practice duels. In this duel, my plan was to actually just try to take him down quickly. Like, I didn't want to play the game where it's like kind of slow, kind of dampening, you know, let him, you know, try to kite out all his novas and stuff like that. Duel number 2 kind of goes this way, but for me, you know, he charges in and he immediately pummels my polymorph. I get a frostbite, which is really lucky, and then I decided, hey, I'm at range. He's already, you know, 30% health down. Let's just go for it. Throw out a nade for damage, just spam out frostbolts, and he's already in a position where he's falling further and further behind. And this is something you can do to warriors because a lot of them, well, Sony Digital, he was using, you know, the boots that break you out of roots, the belt that breaks you out of roots, and you lose a lot of stamina dropping those pieces. You know what I mean? So he's missing a lot of stamina on his gear just so he can break roots because most mages are just trying to kite. I myself, I don't want to mess around. I'm 100% health. I just decided to pop my AGM and get my first win. Now, the problem is he didn't use anything. The good thing for me is that I didn't use anything either. So this duel is interesting as well. I got some RNG in my favor. I'll show you guys what I mean. I resist his initial charge stun. He does get the mace stun, so it doesn't really matter. And because I got a frostbite there, I decided to blink. Now, what he does is smart, okay? He uses his root break, he pops recklessness, and he's about to, you know, pop off on me and like do a lot of damage. Now, I resist his intercept with his recklessness up, and as I'm casting polymorph, if it didn't resist, he would have stopped my polymorph. However, this is not a point in the duel where he automatically won or anything like that. Sure, it would have put him in a better spot, but keep in mind, I have my cloaking device, I have my ice block, I have my cold snap, I have my rocket boots. I have everything. I'm not going to take damage here. Even if he stuns me, immediate ice block, and I got his belt out of the way. So I'm feeling pretty good about this position. A lot of people, you know, like, wow, this is the reason why you won the duel. This right here. Well, maybe, but I mean, I literally have every cooldown. So I get the sheep on his recklessness. Unfortunate for him. Obviously, got to be really, really frustrating. And from this point forward, I just decided to keep him in combat, kite out his recklessness. Keep in mind, he still has his free action potion up. So I'm just trying to sort of fish that out. He uses his Arena Grandmaster to prevent some damage. I decided to just block out of his Horned Viking helmet. He pops the free action potion, he pops his sprint boots, and he's trying to get after me. So what I do is I actually use my rocket boots, and I get away with his nade from it. Unfortunately, they disperse rather quickly, but I do manage to get some distance. I made a bit of a blunder here. I actually used my cloaking device, and it would have been a really, really sick cloaking device, but I fire blasted at the same time, so I made a little bit of a misplay here, but didn't end up mattering too much. He's got 18 seconds left on his FAP. I'm trying to just throw out as much damage as I can, and I'm not messing around. I cold snap, I ice block. I don't want to get taken down. I don't want to take too much damage because I know once this Fap's gone, he's already used a root break. He's already used his Horned Viking helmet. If I can get a sheep, we're in a good spot. Now he doesn't have enough rage here to actually pummel me, so I just go for a poly, land the poly on him, and evocate. So at this point, we're set. He's used his Fap. He's used his root break. He's used his rocket helm. I evocated a full mana. Although I don't have any ice blocks, I basically got it to the point where it's a battle where I essentially, and this is kind of a cool move. I want to explain this first. So this is a battle where I essentially, I've got it to the point where he intercepts me and I blink it. He doesn't have any tools left to really close the distance. So it's a great position for me. Here's something he likes to do. Like this is something a lot of warriors like to do is they'll just walk towards you when they're not snared. And then they'll try to it's like a pump fake almost. I go towards him to try to Nova, and he moves away so he doesn't get Nova'd. You'll notice it. But what I do is I just quickly move over and then I jump away and try to go for a rank 1 bolt. So here it is. See? Just by changing the direction I moved slightly, it made him run away to try to avoid my Nova. And I know this is going to happen, so I just go for the rank 1 Frostbolt, and now he's given me the distance I need to actually get that cast off. Now, I'm not messing around in this duel whatsoever. People were saying I was trolling him or flaming him by, spamming out rank 1 Frostbolt, but this is my favorite strategy. Stand max yardage, spam out rank 1 Frostbolts, and just look for Frostbite procs. Never let him get out of the snare. He can't do anything, never let him get away. And if you get a Frostbite, that's when you get to do big damage. So I just spam out the rank 1 Frostbolts, and once I get a Frostbite, that's when I can really tee off with big Frostballs. It's a very efficient way of playing the duel. And it's also very, risk-free. When I dueled J-Law, I took some risks. Even though I played well, I still feel like I could have played it a little bit safer. And you can really tell by, my duels against Sony. Both duels, I didn't take any damage, literally. So, yeah, those duels were great. Some resists in my favor, but I still feel like I played a really, really solid duel. And, who knows how it would have turned out if I didn't get those resists. So, good duels. And at this point, I am freaking out because I am 11-1 and I have to duel a Vec. And I know that I can beat Vec, but I also know that he can beat me. And if he beats me, he can actually qualify. If I beat him, then he can't qualify. So, disastrous opener for me, okay? He ambushes me, I blink, and he gouges my blink. I don't know how he does it. I have a macro I spam for when I get in combat, so the second he ambushes me, the millisecond he ambushes me, I should blink away from him, but somehow he still got the gouge, which I really can't believe, honestly. And this is this is horrible. This is a bad spot to be in. So he gets to me, I just decide, frick, I need to AGM, I need to save my hit points. So I AGM, I Nova him, and this is the most important part of the duel, okay? I throw a Thorium Nade, and I know he's gonna vanish it. It's a little mind game. If I throw the Thorium Nade and it hits, I win the duel, because I can get a sheep and get distance, and that's when it's really, really safe for me. Basically, if I ever land a Nade sheep with no trinket, I win. However, I know he's gonna vanish it, so I actually cancel my Nade. I throw the nade and I cancel it at the last second and he vanishes. So I bait out the vanish and then I cone him on his vanish. Okay? So I actually break him out. The most important part of the duel. I throw my nade, cancel it, and then I know he's gonna vanish, so I pre-cone him and break his vanish so he doesn't get an ambush on me. Now, the second he comes out, I go for the real nade because I know he's not gonna commit a prep this early. He hasn't used his blind. It's just, there's a really low likelihood he's gonna gouge, blind, or do anything to me. He tries to nade my nade, but I was quicker, so I land the nade, I get the polymorph, and I get to bandage. I'm feeling pretty good at this point. My AGM shield was still up, and honestly, I feel like I played that moment really well, and I was able to get at distance, and this is the point in the duel where it becomes really, really difficult for him. A little bit unfortunate RNG for him. He netted. I really thought he was going to vanish right here. So I frostbolted, and then I pre-channel a blizzard, so he got knocked out, but he didn't. I misread the situation, and he still hasn't committed his prep. I think he goes for a blind play here, but I just block it. I blink before he can gouge me, and I'm at distance. So he uses his prep. Now what I do here is Ice Barrier just came up, so what I do is refresh my Ice Barrier just in case, because I don't want him to get control of the duel. So I Ice Barrier, and then I Cold Snap. So now I've Cold Snapped, I have another Ice Block available, I have another Barrier available, I've got a lot of shields, and he really doesn't have too much. I get him in a Nova, he goes for the Death Ray, and if this Death Ray had crit really hard, it might have actually killed me, but unfortunately for him, it didn't, and I'm able to just get away, and you know, at this point, just finish off the duel. Now, really well played Devek. The second duel obviously is really hard for him to win. He does do some pretty interesting things, but I'm over the moon right now. I'm 12-1. I know I should win this next duel against Vec. And I go for the nade. He resists. He goes for the Battle Chicken. Or sorry, the Skull of Impending Doom to avoid the Polymorph, but he's already taken so much damage. I just play at range. I go for the Frostbolt on his bandage, and he actually does a really sick thing here. So he reflects my Frostbolt. I Scorch, and he reflects my Scorch Fire Blast, and then I use the freaking 6 Demon Bag, and he reflects that as well because it's a Frost spell. So he reflected Frostbolt, Scorch, Fire Blast, 6 Demon Bag. But still, even though he did all that, he can't do anything. He has no vanishes, he has no blinds. Now I do the same thing I did to Sony, which is just spam rank 1 Frostbolt for Frostbites. Once I get it, easy, end the duel. And honestly, that was it. I mean, it was a miracle run. I really can't believe it went down this way. I also had 2 duels against Sagu, and I'm sure we'll get those videos up on YouTube soon, but they were really good duels. I was really well practiced against Zico, so I had the preparation, but Sagu, he fought really, really hard. The first duel was really close. The second duel I won pretty convincingly, but honestly, my hat's off to him. He did a phenomenal job in the tournament, and I honestly can't believe that I managed to qualify. I came back from being 6-8 to finishing at 21-9. So that's pretty cool. And I hope you guys could have sort of enjoyed this analysis. I know this is a long video, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, if you guys like this type of content, definitely leave a comment, let me know. Give this video a thumbs up, follow the channel, check out you know, all my social medias, my Twitter, my Twitch, of course, my Instagram if you want. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and hopefully I can hold it down and do well in the next season. The other mage that qualified is Zaryu, and yeah, I definitely am going to be, you know, chit-chatting with Zico, making sure I'm prepared for the next phase of the tournament, and hopefully I do a good job, but I'm proud of how I did so far. All right, thanks guys for watching. Bye.